We are a close-knit family, and when tragedies like this occur, every member of the U.S. Armed Forces, Vance, Enid, feels it.
A training flight gone wrong. Now 2 airmen dead tonight. How the accident happened at Vance Air Force Base. Plus a pursuit between planes and the entire chase at Will Rogers caught on camera. Why this teen bolted when his plane touched down. And a life saved all because of a text. But before you text 911, there are 2 things you need to know. A Second Amendment auditor arrested where police found him to serve his warrant. The news starts right now.
Right now, an investigation is underway after a training flight takes a deadly turn at Vance Air Force Base. 2 airmen died when 2 jets left the runway this morning.
Fox 25's Connor Hansen is in Enid with reaction from base leaders. Connor.
Dan, Wendy, the Air Force Base says they're still taking time to notify those airmen's families. They like to give them 24 hours before releasing the names to the public. We do know that this base is used to train student pilots. Many of them are young and new to the Air Force. Emergency crews rushed to the runway at Vance Air Force Base surrounding 2 T-38 Talons. The Air Force says the planes were landing after a training flight when something went wrong. Both were off the runway and 1 was flipped over. 2 were killed and 2 others walked away.
The family and the friends of our fallen. We are a close-knit family, and when tragedies like this occur, every member of the U.S. Armed Forces, Vance, Enid, feels it.
Hundreds of training missions are flown every day at Vance. The base says on some days there are up to 1,000 landings here. Vance has about 1,200 active duty and reserve airmen on base. The Air Force says it has been making resources available to them and their families.
You're so grateful to have such a wonderful team of helping agencies from the medical community, from the airmen and family readiness community, from the chapel community, have come together to help people walk through this.
There was no flying here the rest of the day, and there likely won't be any more tomorrow. Colonel Simmons tells us these types of mishaps are very rare. Last year, a T-38, the same kind of plane crashed after hitting a bird. That pilot was able to safely eject. Dan.
Connor, thank you. Reaction to that crash coming in from lawmakers tonight. Governor Stitt tweeting, quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with the pilots' families and the team at Vance Air Force Base." He says the state is offering support in any way possible tonight. Congresswoman Kendra Horn, quote, "I am incredibly saddened to hear of the accident this morning at Vance." And Congressman Frank Lucas here saying, quote, "These airmen did what most wouldn't by answering the call of duty to serve their nation and should be remembered for this commitment." Again, the base will release the names of the airmen killed tomorrow. Stay with Fox 25 and OKCFox.com for updates.
New video tonight showing a teen running on the tarmac at Will Rogers World Airport, trying to get away from detectives who were meeting him to arrest him. The teen slipped through a crack on the jet bridge when his flight from Houston touched down earlier this week. He ran across the tarmac with airport officials chasing him before getting on top of a building and jumping off, breaking both of his legs. Officers were at the airport to arrest him on a burglary warrant.
Tim Harper? You got a warrant for your arrest.
Okay.
Your hands back. It's for your arrest. Unlawful carry of a firearm.
New video tonight showing the arrest of a local gun rights activist. Police took Timothy Harper into custody last week. He's accused of bringing a rifle into a restaurant. During his arrest at the gun range, officers asked him multiple times if he had any weapons on him. Harper did not and asked why he was being arrested.
Can you elaborate?
What's that?
Can you elaborate?
It's an arrest warrant for unlawful carry out of Oklahoma County. That's all I really have.
Is it from when I went to the restaurant?
I believe so.
Harper has not yet been arraigned. His next court date has also not been set.
The search is on tonight for this man, Richard Hitchcock. OSBI agents say he hasn't been seen since November 9th, and they're desperately looking for him right now. An Altus farmer saw Hitchcock walking in a field and said he'd run out of gas. She took him to a store in Davidson. His car was found near Tipton. He was last seen walking south into a field near Granfield. If you know where he is, call the OSBI tip line. That number is 800-522-8017. 911
expanding its services, now allowing you to text in case of an emergency. Logan County is one of 4 counties that utilize the program right now.
Fox 25 investigative reporter Erica Stanish walks us through the first text they got that saved a life, and she's got your back with the 2 things you need to remember before using the service.
Just like a phone call, text messages can come right here to dispatch and can be a game changer for those who might be in a sticky situation and can't make a call. On Tuesday, 911 operators received its first 911 text in Guthrie.
What that entailed was something was sort of cryptic. We get a 3 WR and then the rest of the address. And then the word hurry.
Without the full address, operators knew they needed to work fast.
They began to try to decrypt what that was, and they had figured out that what the person who was texting at the time had tried to put in the full numbers, but instead, after putting in the 3, switched over to the letters.
After learning the exact address, Sergeant Anthony Gibbs says officers were able to get to the victim.
The suspect never had an idea that the victim had actually contacted 911. What had been occurring between text and 911 is that the victim was being strangled. Officers arrive in the area, it breaks up this deadly situation, so that now the suspect is looking at law enforcement rather than continuing this deadly act.
Text to 911, a tool that officers say saved a life.
Compared to never getting the call and maybe finding the victim deceased the next day because the domestic violence escalated and continued.
Gibbs says if you need to text 911, make sure to send the full address and the reason behind the emergency.
We want to know just a little bit about what's going on. So if I'm going to text my address and then I'm going to say, heart attack, I think I'm having a heart attack, well then dispatch knows, hey, I'm going to send police over there, yes, but I'm definitely going to make sure I send medical.
Gibbs says that information is key to getting the person the help they need fast.
So to us, we look at this as being a huge win for really the ability to be able to convey problems quickly in a different way.
This life-saving tool, officials say, is there when you need it, by phone and now even by text. Reporting in Logan County, I'm Erica Stanish, Fox 25 News.
People living in Oklahoma, Cleveland, Logan, and Canadian counties can text 911. Officials say soon you'll be able to send a photo with your text if you need to.
Now, your Fox 25 Storm Watch forecast from the Reynolds Ford Weather Center.
A really strong cold front brought winter temperatures back to Oklahoma today. 70s the past 3 days. We've been sitting in the 30s and 40s most of today, and we're still there. It's 41 right now in Oklahoma City. We have thunderstorms to the southwest. We have a light winter mix in northwest Oklahoma. Temperatures are in the 30s and 40s right now, quickly cooling down. In Oklahoma City on Storm Watch Doppler 1, you don't see a whole heck of a lot going on right now. Some drizzly spots and some sprinkles, and that's it. But down here in southwestern parts of the state, it is getting busy. These are heavy, strong thunderstorms. We're getting a lot of lightning and possibly some small hail and gusty winds as they track through Hobart, Carnegie, Clinton, Weatherford, quickly approaching I-40, and some of these will make it into Oklahoma City later on tonight. This is a very light winter mix. It's mainly a rain thing, and nothing's going to stick anytime soon. Temperatures are above freezing. Look at this big wave of precipitation coming out of the Texas Panhandle that still has to move through west and central Oklahoma overnight. On the backside, mainly in northwest Oklahoma, that's where we're going to see that winter mix, because overnight, even though all this rain will be increasing quite a bit, temperatures do stay above freezing, so no freezing rain, but a scattered to widespread cold rain, that's for sure. Where temperatures will fall below freezing, that's where we're expecting that light winter mix of some sleet and some snow. No significant accumulations are expected through tomorrow morning, so no worries there, but you have to have your jacket and umbrella handy for your Friday morning. Heading down to 36 degrees, rain still likely. A slow, very slow weekend warm up. Another cold front on Tuesday. We'll talk about that and your Thanksgiving and Black Friday planners coming up soon.
A developing story we are following. 2 teens and an adult are in custody tonight, all arrested at a Jenks school. They're accused of having guns and illegal drugs. The district says they got reports of a suspicious vehicle earlier this week, and then that same car turned up parked at the Freshman Academy this afternoon. Investigators say the teens were not Jenks students.
In this case, once these individuals were discovered, the guns and the drugs, campus police is right there on the scene. These people are in custody, so they no longer pose any kind of threat.
The district sent texts, emails, and even called parents to let them know about the incident. No word yet on what, if any, charges the suspects are going to face. Now let's turn to the top 5 stories trending tonight on OKCFox.com. Myles Garrett's indefinite suspension will hold. That means he'll be suspended without pay for at least the remainder of the 2019 season. The Cleveland Browns defensive end originally appealed his suspension, but it was upheld today. Garrett was suspended after last Thursday night's game against the Steelers. That's when he hit Pittsburgh quarterback Mason Rudolph, a former Oklahoma State player, over the head with his own helmet. Garrett claims Rudolph used a racial slur before he ripped his helmet off. Rudolph, though, denies that claim. A teacher is suing Epic Charter School, claiming she was fired after objecting to enrollment practices. She's the 4th teacher to sue the online charter school. One teacher dropped her suit last week. A Los Angeles 10-year-old has an extravagant Christmas wish list. Instead of just some toys and clothes, if you bought everything on her list, it would cost you $10,000. Included on it, a new iPhone, a MacBook Air, a real bunny, Gucci slides, and $4,000 in cash. The body of a Navy veteran was found on the kitchen floor of his apartment, and the coroner's office says he had been dead for 3 years. This happened in a suburb of Dallas. His rent was taken from his bank account automatically. And this has been the #1 story on our website all week long: sober bars. This one in Austin offers a dark environment and non-alcoholic drinks like seltzers and soda for people who want to socialize without drinking alcohol. You could read more about these top trending stories. Just head to OKCFox.com.
The Secretary of State's office has finished its review of signatures turned in supporting Medicaid expansion. Today, the office counted more than 299,000. That's well past the 178,000 signatures needed to put Medicaid expansion on the ballot. Now it's up to the state Supreme Court to issue an order stating whether it can move forward to a vote. If so, there will be a brief window where opponents can question the validity of the signatures. If it makes it through that, Medicaid expansion will show up on the November 2020 ballot. The state is now adding more teachers than are leaving. State Superintendent Joy Hoffmeister credits back-to-back pay increases, boosting the number of teachers in the state. More than 1,700 classroom teachers have been added over the last 2 years. That includes more than 600 this year. Lawmakers have raised teacher pay by about $7,400 over the last 2 years, making Oklahoma more competitive with surrounding states.
Here's a live look over Capitol Hill tonight. A final round of testimony this week now in the books. The 2 standout things that happened during today's impeachment hearings. That's next.
How hard does this have to be? Shut your mouth.
A wild arrest in Tulsa after a man is stopped for a busted taillight. What the man did to officers before he was hauled in. That's coming up.
Join the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum and Fox 25 in remembering and honoring those who were killed.
Sergeant First Class Lola Bolden, U.S. Army.
Those who survived and those changed forever. Every day leading up to the 25th anniversary on April 19th.
Give me your hand behind your back. There we go. How hard does this have to be? Shut your mouth.
Our new video tonight shows an intense arrest. A Tulsa police officer was trying to question a driver about a broken taillight. That man wound up with a slew of charges.
25-year-old Mariko Farrick faces 8 charges tonight. The biggest of all of his troubles, according to the police report, spitting in an officer's face and having a fake ID. And as Aaron Christie from our sister station in Tulsa explains, Farrick is someone police know very well.
Get back in the truck.
It is this one move.
Stay in the truck.
And the gun is drawn. In the video, you can hear Sergeant Tim Lewandowski say that indicated to him Mariko Farrick had plans to run, shoot, or assault him.
Mama!
Farrick repeatedly calling for his mom, with one hand up, the other on a phone. Police say they were trying to question Farrick about taillights that were out, but it quickly escalated. The sergeant grabbing Merrick's wrist through the window.
Put your hands off me before my mom comes out here and up.
The officer continues to try and detain him.
Give me your hand behind your back.
Stop, sir. Please stop.
Give me your hand behind your back. I'm going to pepper spray you.
I love that.
Merrick's screams for his mother get louder.
There we go.
The officer tries to overcome resistance by putting his hand on his neck and using pepper spray. Watch as Merrick gets the spray in his mouth and spits in the officer's face.
Kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me. Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm not choking anybody.
The spit contained pepper spray, so now both men appear to be in pain. A brief meeting of the minds.
I can't breathe, sir.
I can't breathe either.
I'm sorry.
Once in cuffs, the mother gets water for both men's eyes, and the situation seems under control. When other officers arrive, they find a driver's license that is not Merrick, but a recognizable face.
It's a police officer. No kidding. It's a retired police officer.
The report says that officer had recently lost that license. Officers also find marijuana without a medical card. Before being taken to jail, Merrick told the sergeant he was scared of the way he approached the car.
How I approach the car is like I do any other hundreds of thousands of traffic stops I made.
That was Aaron Christie reporting from Tulsa. In this instance, Tulsa police say he would have been at most given a ticket if he hadn't resisted arrest. A Yukon man's execution now on hold. A federal judge today temporarily halted the first federal execution in 16 years as a lawsuit against the government continues. Death row inmates challenging the procedures the government intends to use to carry out executions. Danny Lee was scheduled to be executed on December 9th. He was convicted in the 1996 deaths of an Arkansas family as part of a plot to set up a whites-only nation in the Pacific Northwest.
My clear impression was that the security assistance hold was likely intended by the president either as an expression of dissatisfaction with the Ukrainians, who had not yet agreed to the Burisma-Biden investigation, or as an effort to increase the pressure on them to do so.
Now, this week's final round of impeachment inquiry testimony is over, with diplomat David Holmes and former White House NSC advisor Fiona Hill facing lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Holmes, who you heard from, detailed a phone call between the president and EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland.
That President Zelensky, quote, loves your ass. I then heard President Trump ask, so he's going to do the investigation. Ambassador Sondland replied that he's going to do it, adding that President Zelensky will do anything you ask him to do.
Meanwhile, Hill made clear she wasn't going to take on conspiracy theories, pushing back on assertions Ukraine interfered in the 2016 presidential election, saying it was all Russia. She also detailed proceedings between Ambassador Sondland, Ukraine, and the president.
And I did say to him, Ambassador Sondland, Gordon, I think this is all going to blow up, and here we are.
One of the people reportedly mentioned in the impeachment inquiry, President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Giuliani's dealings in Ukraine have been called into question. In an exclusive interview with America This Week's Eric Bolling, Giuliani says he doesn't know what all the fuss is about.
Most of these people that are mentioning me, I've never met them. Even Sondland, I talked to Sondland 3 times on the phone. I don't think I've ever met Gordon. But they seem to know so much about me.
So I watched that full 6 hours of Gordon Sondland testimony, and he had mentioned that there were several occasions that they were told that you, Rudy Giuliani, was going to the Ukraine to talk presidential wishes. Did you represent the United States in Ukraine?
The only time I did, first of all, I never went to the Ukraine.
You can watch that full interview with Rudy Giuliani on America This Week this Sunday night at 10:30.
2 new lung injury cases being reported tonight in Oklahoma. Those lung injuries coming from vaping. These are the first new cases since the state health department began tracking them a little more than a month ago. The total number of cases so far in our state is 6. 2 of those involving teenagers. 3 people are between the ages of 18 and 34, and 1 case involves a person older than 34. Nationwide, the CDC says there have been 2,000 cases of vaping injury, including 47 deaths. They're still investigating an exact cause, but they believe vitamin E acetate may be a culprit. The Attorney General not happy with the judge's decision on how Johnson & Johnson will pay the state to recover from the opioid epidemic. He plans to appeal. Attorney General Mike Hunter says he agrees with the judge's order in every way but one. He is taking issue with the ruling that says the company only has to pay for 1 year of Oklahoma's abatement plan. The state wants the company to fund all abatement costs until the nuisance they say they created has been taken care of. Of the state's expert witnesses during the opioid trial said that that could take up to 30 years. In his final ruling, Judge Thad Bachman ordered Johnson & Johnson to pay the state $465 million. That's down more than $100 million in his original ruling, which he says he miscalculated. Your plumbing probably isn't up to snuff when it comes to planning a big Thanksgiving dinner. We've got your back with the 3 ways to avoid having to call a plumber next week.
And teens scared off by a police impersonator in Ada. But the real police say it was a false alarm. Why the girls confused a man for an officer. That's coming up. We've got your back with a warning about holiday plumbing clogs. The Utilities Department reminding you to toss your fats, oils, and grease in the trash. Pouring them in the sink can clog sewer lines and can cause expensive repairs for both you and the city. Officials say you should pour liquid grease into an aluminum can, place it in the freezer until it solidifies, then toss it in the trash. The city also recommends using a paper towel to wipe out any leftover grease from pots and pans before you clean them in a sink or dishwasher.
House fires becoming more common during colder weather, so the Oklahoma Department of Emergency Management wants you and your family to have a plan. First, make sure you know of 2 ways out of every room in the house. Go over multiple escape routes with your children and practice using them. You'll also want to come up with a place to meet once you make it outside, and be sure all the smoke alarms in your home are properly working. Tomorrow night, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol and an NDUI team partnering with Guthrie Police to conduct a sobriety checkpoint. According to the Guthrie news page, it'll all start at 11 p.m. and run through 1 a.m. on Saturday. High visibility DUI patrols will also be taking place across Guthrie and Logan County. This means additional troopers and officers will be on duty looking for impaired drivers before, during, and after the checkpoint.
A Tulsa man will spend more than 5 years in a federal prison for smuggling ecstasy into the United States using the dark web. Jeremy Singer pleaded guilty in August. He was sentenced today. Police say he ordered 3 ecstasy pills from Germany through an encrypted site, then had it shipped to his house under a fake name. Undercover agents intercepted that package and tracked it right to him. A police impersonator in Bryan County turns out to be a big misunderstanding. 3 teens were going home from a school event Tuesday night when they stopped to get gas, and they thought they were being pulled over by a fake cop. Surveillance video from the gas station shows a white flashing light coming from inside a silver van. Now, the sheriff's office spoke to the man yesterday afternoon. He said he heard screaming coming from the car, so he turned on a strobe light to get their tag number and planned to call 911. The father of 2 of the girls inside that car wants to use the moment as a lesson.
Have your kids fill up during the day, not be filling up at a gas station after hours.
Nobody was arrested. The sheriff's office says if you're ever unsure about somebody pulling you over, call 911 just to be safe.
Here's a live look over more. Right now, there's a brand new bridge open there tonight, and along with helping congestion in the area, it's also going to save lives. We'll explain coming up.
Winter temperatures continuing tomorrow and some morning rain, so not a good time to do any holiday decorating, but you can do whatever you want this weekend. Cool to chilly but dry. Your full storm watch forecast is next.
Drivers just south of Oklahoma City should deal with a little less congestion on their morning commute.
A brand new overpass and more is now open to drivers, but traffic isn't the only thing it'll improve. Fox 25's McKenna Eubank has your back with how it could save lives.
Right now, traffic on 19th Street, which is just north of here, can be a headache for drivers. This new bridge opens up a new option, and it also gives easy access to this new hospital behind me here.
It's so different. You don't see this anywhere in Oklahoma that we know of anyway.
It's a landmark that you can't miss, and the tens of thousands of drivers who pass under it will know they've made it to more when they see those colorful lights on the overpass. The bridge was professionally designed and is expected to win awards. But it doesn't just look good. The bridge will ease congestion through the city.
It's going to help everything in the area to circulate and move better.
And it will create more room for businesses in the quickly expanding community.
I-35 is a barrier for the city and the city's growth, so this is going to come in really handy.
City employees tell us it was an ODOT project, but was mostly paid for using tax dollars that were set aside after a bond election in 2014.
We know that it's going to bring economic development to our future. So, and it's a good landmark for the city.
Right now, ODOT is also working on 3 other overpasses in Moore that can cause delays or lane closures, especially overnight. You can see more on that on our website, okcfox.com. In Moore, McKenna Eubank, Fox 25 News.
McKenna, thank you. Construction on the bridge started in August of 2018. The city tells us it took years to get those plans approved.
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a real nice Thursday. We have all kinds of precipitation going on across Oklahoma right now, and we have some winter precip in the Panhandle. We'll get to that in just a minute, but as you can see here in central Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, there's really not much happening. Dry skies, maybe some spotty sprinkles, but that's about to change. We do have some pretty big thunderstorms trying to come in. Right now, the stormy weather is in Caddo County, Binger, Gracemont, Anadarko. These are not severe, but they are heavy and strong and producing some lightning. Gusty winds and small hail are possible too. We're not expecting any significant severe weather tonight, and these thunderstorms will keep on coming in gusty and strong, and they'll move hard and fast too, right towards central Oklahoma and possibly Oklahoma City. So some rumbles of thunder may wake you up a little bit later on tonight. Up here in northwest Oklahoma and back into the Panhandle, this is mainly a mix of rain, sleet, and snow, mostly rain. And this huge wave of precipitation still has to come in tonight. On the back side of it, some winter precip. And as you can see, overnight lows will mostly be above freezing, but very chilly though. In the middle to upper 30s, a cold rain for sure, and that's why we're not expecting any kind of freezing precipitation. We may get some frozen precip northwest. That's where temperatures are going to be below freezing, and we're just talking about a light mix of sleet and snow, maybe a little rain mixed in too. Very light amounts, so please don't worry about traveling up here tomorrow morning. This is through your Friday morning, by the way, and the rest of us will see a whole bunch of rain. Scattered cold rain. It'll feel like the 20s first thing and very winter-like, so dress for that. And if we get to about 42, 43 tomorrow in Oklahoma City, consider that lucky. Breezy, a few sprinkles at lunchtime, cloudy, cold, and dry. I don't think we get any sunshine tomorrow, but the sun does come out big time this weekend, especially on Saturday. 54 degrees, so still below average with those temperatures. Feeling fine, looking awesome on Sunday, sunny and 63. We'll do that again on Monday. Morning lows in the 20s and 30s, and that's mainly because it's November. And then on Tuesday, next week, cold front comes in, cooling us off into the 50s. Only a small chance of rain with that one, so that's not a big deal. Getting colder on Wednesday, but dry skies, so really good for any traveling, any last-minute traveling for Thanksgiving. Looking okay. Some showers are possible. Temperatures in the 50s. Not a big storm system or anything like that. Cloudy, cool, and windy. And for Black Friday shopping, yeah, you can shop till you drop. 30s in the morning, 50s near 60 in the afternoon. Cool to chilly. Rain is still possible.
Home DNA test kits can be an easy way to get a glimpse of your ancestry, but we've got your back tonight with why you might not want to take the results to heart. That's coming up. Home DNA test kits are relatively easy to use and inexpensive. A popular gift, they can be used to reveal your heritage.
But they also offer a genetic component, and sometimes those results can be scary. For tonight's Spotlight on America, Walt Makaworski meets one woman who says, buyer beware.
My husband was really interested in ancestry.
Brittany and Sam Knowlton were ready to start a family and wanted to know more about their heritage.
Hey, why not spit in a tube and get a little bit more information about, offspring. Activating your
So they purchased one of those popular home DNA testing kits like Ancestry and 23andMe.
It was super straightforward. They send you the kit, you spit in the tube, you send it off. Done.
And it didn't take long to get the results back.
I'm mostly Eastern European, more than I thought. He is very, very Scottish and English.
Happy with the information, Brittany thought they were finished with the test. Then Sam got an email from a third-party vendor not associated with the original company. That third-party vendor then offered to upload the home DNA kit results and interpret them beyond Ancestry.
For a small extra fee, we could have the same data analyzed for medical issues, genetic stuff.
Brittany thought, why not, and agreed to do the medical testing. A few weeks later, she got a call from Sam at work.
He calls me, he says, have you heard of Lynch syndrome? And yes, I work in gastroenterology. I've heard of Lynch syndrome.
Lynch syndrome is an inherited condition that causes an increased risk for colorectal cancer. There is also an increased risk for ovarian and breast cancer.
He says, well, this test says you have it. It was horrible. It was horrible. You just start in this whirlpool of negative thought, following negative thought, following negative thought, just sucking you down.
Once Brittany calmed down, she went to an oncologist for some comprehensive genetic testing.
That was probably some of the most anxiety-ridden couple of weeks of my life.
It's difficult to avoid panicking when you get that kind of result.
Dr. Harry Thomas is a gastroenterologist. He says these tests can have good information, but they're not perfect and they're not an accurate diagnosis.
It's important to recognize that a significant proportion of these results could be falsely positive.
In fact, in a genetics and medicine report, it revealed 40% of variants in a variety of genes reported in direct-to-consumer raw data were false positives. And Dr. Thomas says there are other concerns.
There is also the potential for results to be stated as negative when in fact you do have abnormal mutations which just haven't been tested for.
It was such a relief to finally get the official, you do not have Lynch syndrome.
Now, Brittany and Sam have a beautiful baby boy.
Get that froggy.
And she has a warning for consumers.
The ancestry part is great and fun and go for it, but anything clinical take with a very large grain of salt.
For Spotlight on America, I'm Walt Macaborski.
Spotlight on America did talk with some popular home test kit companies who say they don't recommend people using third-party vendors to do the genetic testing.
Coming up in sports, hear about the latest with the quarterback situation in Stillwater and what it means for the Pokes, plus two teammates going head-to-head Saturday, a year before they'll actually be opponents. Find out how they'll be competing when we return. Breaking news coming out today, Oklahoma's Grant Calcaterra announcing via Twitter he's done with football due to concussions. Calcaterra hadn't played since the game against Kansas on October 5th. And also breaking today, Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders is out for the rest of the season. You see Sanders holding his thumb following this play in the Kansas game this past weekend. Sanders reportedly had surgery on his thumb and isn't expected to return to play during the regular season. The Pokes will now turn to backup QB Drew Brown as they head to Morgantown. The former Hawaii starter transferred to OSU in 2018. And so far this season, Brown is 13 of 18 passing, totaling over 220 yards and throwing for 3 touchdowns. One of those was a 43-yarder to Dylan Stoner this past Saturday. Head coach Mike Gundy giving high praise to Brown this week, not only regarding his play, but also his character.
We were pleased with Drew. Drew's been a great illustration of a culture here at Oklahoma State. You know, I mentioned this after the game. He actually was a captain in that game because of all the hard work and effort he's put in and the commitment he's had to our program. So we enjoy seeing him have success, and he came out and played well.
Oklahoma getting ready for senior night as they play host to TCU. The Sooners are aiming to keep their college football playoffs hopes alive by winning out in championship November. And while those rankings may not be the focus come Saturday night, there will be added emotion to the game against TCU, as it will be the final time the senior class plays at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. For the underclassmen, they want to send that class out on a high note.
They've probably been like some of the biggest influences on my career since I stepped on campus 2 years ago. Neville, Kenneth Mann, Q, Dylan, you know, those like my big brothers. Like, they always had me under their wing. Sometimes they joke with me, like they feel like I'm their age, you know, but they definitely been my big brothers since I've been on campus. Like, the small things they taught me, like, I just learned by watching them. I learned so much just by watching them in practice. So, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a big deal to take this field with them one last time, and hopefully we can send them out in style.
That game can be seen right here on Fox 25, and stick around afterward for our live post-game show. See highlights and hear from Lincoln Riley and players. And speaking of that game, it's one that hits close to home for two players at Bishop McGuinness, because next fall they'll be a part of this game, not as teammates, but as opponents. Here's the story of Irish standouts Nick Richardson and Brendan Walker.
In his 15 years at the helm of Bishop McGuinness, Brian Pierce has seen his fair share of talented players don an Irish jersey, and this season is no exception. Among the talent filling this year's roster is OU commit Brendan Walker and TCU commit Dominic Nick Richardson.
He's definitely one of the best athletes, one of the best backs that's come through our program that I've ever seen here. And, we feel like he's one of the best running backs in the state.
In 4 years for McGuinness, Richardson has rushed for nearly 5,500 yards and 67 touchdowns. And next year, he'll be taking his talents to TCU.
I went down there about 4 times, and I had to keep going back because I just felt that connection with them, the coaches and the players, the visitors who was down there, the recruits, and we just hung out, had a good time. And just the atmosphere, I just connected really well and felt like home.
Off the field, Richardson is thinking of studying either criminal justice or sports medicine, and on the field, he's hoping to make an immediate impact.
Just having a big chance and knowing them telling me they have a big chance of starting, I just had to fight for that position. And having a couple of running backs in front of me, so I think I can maintain that and just work hard every day and just hopefully get there. It's the dream.
Like Richardson felt that connection with the coaches at TCU, so too did his teammate Brendan Walker, who will continue his career in his backyard, playing for the Sooners.
It's a blessing for sure. Knowing both sides of the coin for the OSU and OU, it's been amazing, but it's awesome. Nothing but a blessing.
And for someone who says his game is a combination of Kenneth Murray and Nick Bonito, Walker is looking forward to joining Alex Grinch's Speed D scheme.
They require you to run all the time to the ball, every single play, and you can't do that with the same 11 on the field, so they're always rotating through guys. And I think that, and just the mindset of just Speed D and just a lot of the things that I know that they hold themselves to is just, I really want to be a part of that. It's all awesome.
While they still have plenty of time before they go from teammates to opponents, it's never too early to start the smack talk, especially with the OU-TCU game coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, I let him know that the first time I play him, I get a chance to hit him, that he's going to be on SportsCenter. I made sure he knew that, and I told him it's going to happen. It may not happen the first year, but it's going to happen eventually. I'm going to embarrass him one day, but it's all fun and games right now. But when we get to college, it's game on.
McGuinness travels to Edison Prep tomorrow for week 2 of high school playoff action. Kickoff is at 7, and the Thunder are back at the Peak tomorrow night as they play host to LeBron and the Lakers. And there's your sports for tonight. We'll be right back.
Looking to dive into an exciting career. You'll see where I'm going with this.
Okay.
The Oklahoma Aquarium, now you got it, may have the perfect offer for you.
Yeah, they're taking applications for internships right now. The aquarium in Jenks says along with college credit, interns get to work and learn in a world-class facility. And there's a lot more to it than just feeding the animals. We're told students can get all kinds of experience from marketing and event planning to chemistry.
Rides on the Polar Express officially begin tomorrow. The trains will depart the Oklahoma Railway Museum, set to the sounds and the motion picture soundtrack, with hot chocolate and cookies served to the riders. The trip is 1 hour and ends with a meet and greet with, you guessed it, Santa. You can find more information about the trips on our website, okcfox.com.
People living in Del City will soon have access to a new library. The Metro Library System will break ground on December 2nd. They're building a new library near Southeast 15th and Vicky that will double the size of the new facility. Right now, the current one has been in the same building since 1966. The new library will open in 2021.
Oh, this isn't something you see every day. The Southeastern Regional Fisheries Facebook page uploaded this video showing a few deer swimming across Lake Murray near Ardmore. The person who shot the video says the deer made it safely to the other side. Wildlife officials say deer are actually really strong swimmers.
That's good to know.
Yeah. I just took a selfie of you guys hugging each other. I was left out. I'm gonna have to share that.
Notice how I was perfectly poised.
You were. It was a beautiful move.
I think you're his biggest fan.
Wait a minute. Hey, no, let's get back on the deer story. I didn't believe that at first until I looked it up. They are strong swimmers. They can swim for miles at 13 miles an hour. So
Wow.
It's true.